Hi all, welcome on Trials and Code channel. My name is Maxim and I am a software engineer with more than 8 years of production experience, and today I'm going to present my first course about continuous integration and continuous delivery and continuous deployment also. And also to show you how it works, we will take a look on Jenkins CI. It's a tool for continuous integration, and I will use it to show what is continuous integration, why do we need it, and how we are going to use it. So during this course I will show you why we need the continuous integration and continuous delivery, and what is it and what benefits can receive customer or developer. Also we will check what is CI/CD testing, what is it, how to do it, how to configure it. Also we consider why do we need Jenkins, not other CI tools. There are a lot of different tools. We compare them and find what is the best and why especially Jenkins. Then we will go deeper and start to download, install and configure Jenkins. We will use Google Cloud Platform to test it on this platform. Also after that I will show you how to create first Jenkins job. What is it? Additionally, we will check build triggers, how to trigger different jobs, why we need these triggers and how it works. It's a very important part. Also then we will check Cron syntax. What is Cron? Why do we need it? And what is it? The next step will be Git integration. So here I will show how to get data from your Git and run different jobs. After that you push something to your Git repository. We will connect a few different repositories. It will be public and private repository which requires credentials. After that we will take a look on artifacts. It's some results of jobs. And the next step will be build pipeline view. How to configure it, how it looks, why do we need it. The next video will be parameterized jobs. How we can pass different parameters to your job and what result we will receive. We will take a look on Jenkins security. What can we do when we lost the credentials to Jenkins and how we can restore our credentials. Then we will take a look on nodes, what is node and how we can split work between different computers, different nodes, and speed up our work. It's very interesting and important part. Also Jenkins backup, how we can save our data, our configuration, maybe the whole server, as we are going to use Google Cloud Platform. And then we will delete our Jenkins, uninstall it. And there will be a few additional videos about interesting topics. It will be a surprise. And in the end I will cover a few technical interview questions. As I am a certified technical interviewer at my job, and also I am a mentor, and in addition I am expert at assessments, and I have a few popular questions what people ask on interview on different assessments, what you need to know about continuous integration and why do you need to know it. So in this video I will show you why do we need continuous integration and continuous deployment and delivery practices. So let's imagine that we have a project, really huge project with different layers. It's on the bottom it's backend, for example, on the top it's a front end, and somewhere in the middle we have some services, and each part is developed by a separate team. So we have a huge number of teams and projects, and we have a task. For example, for Black Friday we need to implement a feature for discount coupons. Let's imagine that our site sells air tickets, for example, and so we need to implement new feature for selling tickets. We got this task on Monday, and for each team they had their different part of task. Backend should implement their own part, frontend their own part, and each team developing their own task. So they did it, and on Friday we decided to check how it works. So, and then when we tried to integrate everything together, we found out that it doesn't work because backend team understood their task like they need to integrate just one-time coupon, but another team decided that there are no coupons at all and it's some discounts. Front-end team, they thought that They do not need to add any vouchers field additional, and in the end we found out that on Friday everything doesn't work, and it's an issue because that should be solved. So as we know that each part can affect another one. For example, if we create some changes on backend, it might affect services or might affect even frontend, or the same if we have some new field on frontend part, we should integrate some REST call to backend and save this data on backend. So we need to integrate each part. When there was no continuous integration and continuous delivery practices, there was a time it calls integration phase, when all teams get together and try to integrate each part, and it took a lot of time and it was very difficult, and sometimes it's called integration hell because it took really a lot of time. Right now we can implement any feature, push it to our server, and then continuous integration will run all tests and check if everything works fine and what everything is integrated in the way what we needed. And that's how continuous integration works. In this video we take a look on this continuous integration concept, how it works and how it can help in our work. So let's take a look on this schema. So let's imagine that we have developer, it's developer 1, and we have version control system. For example, it's a Git, and there is our code, a huge code, and this developer makes a feature, some new small fix, bug fix, or added new line, comment, or anything, and he pushed it to our version control system, and after that, automatically, when code was changed, we have some triggers which runs unit test. Unit test is one of the steps of our pipeline, and when it runs, it failed. It failed because of some issues, or code was implemented in the wrong way, or developer just forgot to update its unit test. But anyway, we know it as fast as possible, and this bug is cheap because we get the information about it very fast. For example, sometimes unit tests can take a few seconds to run or a few minutes, but no longer than 10 minutes. It's the best practices. And after that, if unit test was failed, developer will receive email notification that your code was wrong and something going wrong because we couldn't run the unit test. So after that, this developer make a fix of this bug and try to run it again. So he pushes this code. Again, there is a trigger which checks that code was updated and it runs unit tests again. When unit tests are passed OK, without errors, it runs the next step. It's web services tests. And if web service tests are fine, then it can CI will run. The next step is, for example, user interface tests. Here we can add as many layers as we want, with integration tests, with end-to-end tests, anything. And after that, we receive information that our code is fine, everything works, and we can continue. So in this case, we have fast feedback, as fast as possible, and we do not need to waste time to find out what was wrong, what code affected it, and what we can fix. So after that, for example, another developer, he get the latest version of our code and implemented some other feature. And after that, he runs again, he pushes it to our code. There is a trigger which runs unit tests, and there is some error on web services test. And after that, it made a fix and run all tests again from the very beginning, from unit tests, because each line of code can break your application. We run unit tests again, we run web service tests again, and then we run unit tests again. And it might take some time, but anyway, if even some tests, UI tests, take a whole day or a few hours, we will get this information in the morning. of course, in case if you will run this test nightly. It's one of the best practices too. If you have some big UI tests, you can run it in the night, and on the morning you will get fast feedback, and you will know that something was wrong, and you know how to update this. And this bug is very cheap. You can fix it as fast as possible, and it do not affect any other developers or any other features. So there are some requirements for continuous integration tests and continuous integration at all. What you should remember. So it's must have for continuous integration. The first one is version control. You always need a version control where the whole your code will be saved. For example, it's Git with GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket or even SVN Subversion. But it should be saved somewhere. The next one, what is important, is build automation. Always all your tests should be build automated. Even when you made small changes, you update one line of code, you should update it and run the whole build of the whole application from the scratch. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort, so you can't rely on people, because sometimes somebody got sick and somebody went to go to get a cup of tea, and everything should be automated as much as possible, each build. After that, you have a test. Tests should be automated too, because the same issues with people, you can't rely on people, and it takes a lot of time. So tests are automated. Another important feature is often commit. You should commit as often as you can. So you made a few lines of change, you implement some small feature, commit this code, and all tests should run, and at least you will find out what works, what doesn't work. Because, for example, if you push your changes in the end of a week and something went wrong, it's very difficult to find out what was wrong and when you did a mistake. Was it on Monday, Friday, Wednesday, who knows? So push it when you can. And the last one, but not the least, it's build on change. As I mentioned before, every time when we push some code to our repository, even the smallest one, we run the whole system from the scratch, because each line of code can break everything. So we must be sure that everything works fine, and after your commit, your code works as you expected. And let's take a look about continuous delivery. So what is continuous delivery? Continuous delivery, it's the next step of our continuous integration. For example, you have the same feature, you implemented it, and we added just one more step, it's deploy. For example, when you implemented some feature, it passes OK, fine, everything, you can automatically deploy it to some server. It might be staging, some test environment, or it might be production environment. From technical perspective, it's pretty easy, and each CI can do it, and Jenkins can do it. But sometimes it's not implemented automatically, because very often it's not automatic, because decision to deploy to production, it not developer responsibilities but business. Sometimes the business wants to publish some functionality or feature, especially for some event or for some date. Let's imagine Apple presentation. As you know, they presented some new iPhone, and at that moment their website was updated, and then you can buy a new phone and you see new pages, new features. They pushed one button and the latest features were pushed to some production server. Okay, so what benefits can we get from these approaches? So first of all, it's defect early discovery. When we made some bug or something was wrong, we get feedback as fast as possible, and we know that the latest code, the latest feature was implemented not that as we expected, and something was broken, or we didn't update unit tests. What we should remember again, always update unit tests. Another benefit is automatic application deploy. So as I mentioned, we can do it automatically for production, or in most cases it's some staging test environment. But for example, a few years ago, Amazon mentioned that a new functionality is published each 11 seconds on their website, so web services. So in their company, it's a tech company, continuous deployment is implemented in automatic way, so it's good. Another benefit is a transparent health monitor. All time you see the state of your build and the state of your application. So sometimes in some teams they have monitors in the rooms which shows how the latest build was passed, is it okay or not, and you can see the state of your application. The next one is test pipeline customization. We will take a look at it later. But anyway, you can customize pipeline. It means you can run different stages of your application building. For example, you can run linting, you can run unit tests, you can run integration tests, and in different way. And you can see what was wrong and when. Also, it's the next one benefit is built-in parallel execution. So it means if you have a lot of tests, different tests, you can run it on different nodes, different machines. For example, you have it takes 10 hours, but you can split this work on 2 or 3 additional environments. Right now it's not very difficult when you have a lot of cloud solutions, and you speed up this process. In the previous videos, I have mentioned a few different terms, such as continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. So in this video, I want to make a final clarification. What is it? What is each of them? What are these practices, and what's the difference between them? Because it's a very popular question on any interview, any assessment, when you want to get any new job. Somebody from technical perspective can ask you what's the difference, and you should understand it. And as we're going to continue our work in our course, we need to understand what's the difference really, and what we should implement or do on each step. So let's check the first one. It's continuous integration. As I mentioned before, we have a few steps of pipeline. Continuous integration, it's a practice of merging all our codes to one main developer branch or master branch, and after that there is validating of our code by builds and running unit tests or integration tests. We do it to avoid any conflicts, because in case when we have a huge team, each team may develop some part of code or some feature and merge to main branch. And we want to have the latest version of our code, and we want to make sure that it works fine. It's continuous integration. We have code push, it's our trigger or pull request, and we have run these pipelines. The next one is continuous delivery. It's the next step. It extends our continuous integration with a few new steps. It's deploy to staging. As I mentioned, it's some test environment, which should be as much as possible similar to our production environment. And then we run end-to-end tests. Why do we run it after deploying to stage? Because first of all, we need the environment where these tests can be run, because test runner should open the browser and run all these tests, and it takes a lot of time. It can take 10-12 hours. So if we run this test on the continuous integration phase, it may be that we never will finish this test, because continuous integration can be run 1,000 or hundreds times a day, and integration tests, end-to-end tests, they took a lot of time. So we deploy to staging, and after that we can deploy to staging not after each trigger, but just in some cases daily or once a day, once a week, and then run end-to-end tests. And after that we can deploy to production. But here what is important is manual. So we need to click a button, and somebody should have decision to run the code, the latest version, to production. And after that we can run some smoke tests or some different send some notifications or set up some environment. And continuous deployment, it's almost the same, but one small change is deploy to production in automatic way. So we do not need a people, or we don't need a human who will click a button. All changes will go to production automatically in case the tests were green. And just in case one test was failed, they will be not deployed to production. And here let's clarify is you can pause video and read what does it mean. And it's everything what I mentioned before. So continuous integration, when developers merge their changes back to the main branch as often as possible, just to get the latest version of code and know that their changes didn't break anything. And their changes are validated by creating a build and running automated tests against the build. As I mentioned, it might be unit tests or integration tests. So by doing so, we avoid the integration hell that usually happens when people wait for release date to merge their changes into the release branch. As I mentioned before, it might be really difficult. Continuous delivery, it's extension of continuous integration. I can say that it's the next step. And when you made your changes, you can release these new changes to your customer quickly in a suitable way. That means that on top of having automated your testing, you also have automated your release process, and you can deploy your application at any point of time by clicking a button. What is important is this manual action. So somebody should make this decision and publish it to production. And continuous deployment, as I mentioned before, it's almost the same, but it will be automatically. So there is no human intervention and everything will be published if all tests are passed. Also, what we should mention here is that after continuous deployment, there might be some additional changes or additional steps in our pipeline. For example, we can make some configuration changes like set up A/B testing. We can send notification to users about new features. We can notify support of a new version of our changes and send some change notes. And there are a lot of different steps. We can do it after the code was released to production. That's small schema about what's the difference about continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. In this video, I will show you why we decided to use Jenkins as our main CI/CD tool, what's the difference between other CI tools and why especially Jenkins. So let's take a look on the JetBrains research and check team tools, and here we can see that 59% of users using Jenkins CI. Previously it calls Hudson. So it's very popular CI tool. After that there is GitLab CI and Travis. So what is important is that all these CI tools are pretty similar, and if you know how to use one of them, you can start with another one very fast. It's not a problem for you. Another what is important about Jenkins, that it's free. It's absolutely free and open source. So that means that a lot of contributors who makes changes and deliver a lot of updates to this system very often. Another very important feature that it's cross-platform, so you can easily run it on Linux, on macOS, or even on Windows, and everywhere where you have Java it will work fine. And additionally, the next one, what is pretty important, very important, it's plugins. For Jenkins, from the box, Jenkins isn't so very powerful, or it's not a super good CI tool, but its power in its plugins. So right now it has more than 1500 of community plugins. So here you can find everything what you need. You need something for SSH, you need something for Git, for Maven, or I don't know even what. Everything you can find and you can use it. There are a huge number of plugins. And that's why do we use it. It's free, a lot of plugins, and the most popular CI tool. And when you learn this one, you can use any other. Today I will show you how to install Jenkins CI on Google Cloud Platform. So here's Google Cloud Platform and here's Jenkins. Jenkins is a CI/CD tool, very popular, and so let's start. First of all, let's create a server. So we need the instance. We will create the smallest instance on Google Cloud Platform to test our Jenkins CI. Let's call it Jenkins. Let's type will be F1 micro, the smallest one. Also, don't forget allow HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Let's allow both and click create. So let's go to our Jenkins documentation. Let's find Jenkins, and in handbook we see there is installing Jenkins. We can read how can we install it for Debian and Ubuntu. So our GCP virtual machine instance is created. Let's connect to SSH. Okay, so we are connected. First of all, let's update our instance. So we updated the next one. What is important, we need to install a JDK. It's a Java 8 because Jenkins is using Java to be run, and let's install it. So Java is installed. We skipped some installation parts. It was useless. So let's continue. We open our Linux Debian Ubuntu installation, and let's copy commands and run one by one. Result is okay, it's what we needed. The next one. Again, we will update our system. And then we will try to run Jenkins install. So we have such error, package has not installation candidate. Okay, let's Google it. Let's open this link. So here we see that Jenkins was removed from official Ubuntu repositories. So let's open this link and try to run these commands again. What is here? So let's copy these commands and run again. Okay, let's run again. Again, update. Now it seems everything is done successfully, and let's install Jenkins. Yes. And we see that Jenkins is in the process of installation, so I hope everything works fine. Okay, it's installed, so let's open our IP address with 8080 port, but right now it doesn't work. Why? Because here in our network configuration we do not open such port. So let's go to our network default and check firewall rules. Firewall rules, and here we see that for TCP, for IP ranges 00 is external access, we don't have this port. Let's add it. Add the firewall rule. Let's add Jenkins. Okay, so tags, we don't have tags. Let's set all instances in the network, because I didn't add tags for this instance. IP ranges, let's add it 00000, and it will be TCP 8080. Let's create it, and after a while it will be firewall rules will be updated and we can use it successfully. Let's wait for a while. Okay, we see our 8080 port, and let's try it again. Okay, it doesn't work, maybe because it's HTTPS. Let's remove it and try here. Everything works. Jenkins is using HTTP port protocol. But anyway, and here we have getting started page with unlocking Jenkins. So we need to find the admin password. Let's go to this URL and check password. It's on our server. Clear. Let's go to Jenkins and check what do we here. We have secrets. Let's go. Secrets. Permission denied. Okay, let's do sudo su. And do the same. here, what do we need? We need initial admin password. Initial admin password, yes. It's nano. And here we see this password. Let's copy that. Paste. Continue. Okay, and here we have two options: customize Jenkins, install suggested plugins, or installs plugins, or we can select plugins to install. Let's just use suggested plugins, and anyway, then we can add anything or remove. And here we can wait a few minutes when everything will be installed, and then we will check how it works. Here we can see that we're installing Ant plugin, Git. Of course, we need Git for using with different version control systems, especially for Git. SSH slaves, I guess for SSH connections. We need Subversion. We do not need anymore. Nobody uses it. At least I don't use it. GitHub branch sources. It's fine. Gradle, I'm not sure. And a few pipelines. It's okay. For mailer, we have a mail extension mailer, and it's fine. Okay, so everything is installed. Let's create first admin user. We can continue as admin with previous password, but I would recommend you to create another user. Okay, we created, and save and continue. Let's click it. Here we have Jenkins URL, save and finish, and start using Jenkins. So as you see, Jenkins is installed. In the previous lesson, I have shown how to install Jenkins on Google Cloud Platform. Today I will show you how to change language of Jenkins interface. Why? Because Jenkins by default is using language from browser, and sometimes it shows different language that you expected. For example, you need English, but your browser is using another language, and here's confused. So I will show you a sample. Let's log into Jenkins interface. So sometimes we need to change user interface language. So let's log into our Jenkins and check the language. So here, as you see, it's another language, not English, it's Ukrainian language. It's my language by default in browser. So how can we change it? To change it, we need to install locale plugin. So let's go to manage Jenkins. And here we will find plugin configuration, and let's check for locale plugin. So here we need this one. Let's call install without reloading. It's pending. Let's wait for a while. Success. So it's installed, and after that we can change. And here everything is changed, but how it was changed? Let's go to manage Jenkins, configure system, and here we need to find here locale and set default language. Right now it's English, but when you just install, sometimes it will be empty, so you need to add the language you want. In my case it's English, and I add a checkbox that ignore browser preference and force this language to all users. So if you have a team is located in different countries, so you can set the one language for the whole team. And that's it. Today I will show you how to create the first job in Jenkins, what is it and how to do it. So here we can see our Jenkins dashboard when we have no any job created right now. So what is job? Job is a simple task which can do something. For example, it can create a build, it can run a linting of our code, it can run unit tests, end-to-end tests, or any other task you need. It can even deploy your application to production server or QA server. We will create the first job. We need to click create new job, and here, so let's call it hello world. And we will use a freestyle project. It's this option allows you to create almost everything what you need. Here you can see a lot of options you can add: build triggers, build environment. You can add the description. It's what's recommended to understand what's going on. But right now we are not going to use any source code management or build triggers. We just want to run some simple command. Let's do something simple, and it should just echo hello world text in our console. Let's save it. First of all, let's go to see our Jenkins homepage, and here we see our first job. We see that last success in A because we didn't run it, and here there is a button we can run. It's a schedule a build. So let's run it. Build is scheduled, and it will be added here, but as we do not have any other tasks, queue is empty. So here we can see that we have success, we have result. Let's open it and check console output, and here we see that command was called, and here's the result, and status is success. So this command was successfully run. And here we can add any new items we want. It can be second job, same free project. Let's click OK, just save it, will be empty. And here you see that we have 2 jobs right now. So that's the easy way how to create the first job on your Jenkins environment. That's it. In this video I will show you what is a build trigger and what's the difference of them, which build triggers there are and which of them we can use. And do not forget to subscribe on my channel to not miss any new videos. Right now we are on Jenkins job, and here we have 2 our jobs we created in the previous video, and everything what we can do right now is run it manually by clicking the button. Okay, what is a trigger? A trigger is some kind of event, or we can call it a rule, which we need to follow to run our task, these jobs. For example, what are the most popular types of events? Build triggers. There are a few different types of these triggers. The first one is on-demand run. We already use it when we clicked task manually to run some task. Another one is when other job is finished. For example, when the first task was finished, we can run the second one if the first one was finished successfully, or if the first one was finished with the error, we can run another task. The third one is a cron schedule. So we will talk about it later in the next video, but sometimes we want to run our task on some time. For example, every day at 3 p.m. or somewhere on the evening, on nightly. And the last one is source control management. It's when something is happening in our source control system, for example in Git or Subversion. When we push the new commit, we can run some new task to build our application from scratch. So let's create our first trigger for a second job. Let's open it and configure. Here in build triggers we can see that there are a lot of checkbox for different options. So let's check this one. It's build after other project are built, and other project is our hello world. We created it previously, and it asks we can add a couple of these projects in the line separated by comma, but as we have just one, we just remove this comma and space, and that's it. And here there are a few options. As I mentioned, we can trigger it only if a build is stable, if a build is unstable, and even if the build fails. In our case, we will trigger it when build was stable. Let's click save, return to our Jenkins, and when we will run the first one, here we can see in the queue is the second job. Reload our page. We reloaded it and we see that we have new run. Let's open it, and here we can see that upstream project, it's a project which runs this. It was hello world and some additional information about steps. So if we open our configure in build triggers, we can see that we have a few different options. We can, in the same time, we can run it by another project or run periodically we will cover this topic in the next video, how to configure Cron. And here we can see that we have GitHub hook triggers, all from source control management system. And that's it. Today we will talk about what is Cron, what is it and how can we use it. As I mentioned before, we can run this task not just manually by clicking the button, but on some schedule. For example, we need to run this task every 5 minutes to get some data from Git, or we want to run some huge task, for example end-to-end tests once at midnight. Let's check our task. Let's open our second job. Let's configure it. And with build triggers, we can see that we can run it periodically. So let's see this question mark and find out what is it. So here we need to put our cron expression. It's a special line which shows how often we should run our job. For example, we have asterisk. It's a special symbol which shows every minute. It specifies all valid values. So here we can run such command with 5 asterisks, and the first one, it will mean minutes. We can run it from 0 to 59 minutes, so we can run it each minute. The second one, it's an hour of a day, then it's a day of a month, and the day of a week. So for example, in our case, it will run each minute, each hour, each day, and each month, and each day of a week. So in our case, this task will be run every minute. Also, we can specify specific date or time. It can be run each minute. And additionally, we have a few other symbols such as divide. It means that we can run it on each third minute. It will be on 3, 6, 9. Or we can set just specific value. For example, it's a 0. It means it's at 0 minute and 0 hour every day of week, every day of month. So here we can see what does it mean. Again, that each asterisk it's part of our expression, and here we have a few options. We can run it every 5 minutes. It means that every 5 minutes, every day, every hour, run this expression. We can run it every 2 hours at the top of the hour Monday through Friday. Additionally, we can write any task at midnight on the 1st, 10th and 15th dates of a month. And we have special words such as midnight, that it will run our task somewhere between 12 a.m. and 2:59 a.m. Okay, additionally, to learn more about Cron Tab, I would recommend you open Cron Tab Guru. It's a great resource which describe when your task will be run. You can test everything what you need. For example, HITS is a human version of your schedule, so you can change it as you want, and it will show you when your task will be scheduled at the next run. So here's a lot of options, and you can see how it works. It's a great option. So let's edit, let's run our schedule, and after 1 minute we will see how it works. Okay, after a minute we can open our second job. And here we can see that the last build was 9 seconds ago. Let's open it, and so we can see that it was run exactly at 8:37:00, and it was started by timer. If we will open our previous build, we will see that it was started by upstream project Hello World. This one is run by timer. Let's open it again, and for build triggers, we can add the poll from source control management system, and here we will add the same syntaxes, the same cron expression, and it means that it should check our Git, for example, every 5 minutes, and if there are new commits, it should run our task. So we can save it, but it won't work because I didn't configure Git right now. And that's it. Today I will show you how to add the Git to your Jenkins repository, how to configure it and fetch data from your GitHub repository. So what can we do? First of all, we need to create a new task in our Jenkins. Let's create a new item. We call it GitHub. and it will be freestyle project. Okay. So here in source control management we will already have Git and Subversions. These plugins were added during installation. You can check it in installation video. And here we are not going to call any triggers, just configure for Git. Let's add Git. And here we need to add GitHub repository or just URL. Let's open our GitHub and let's take some simple repository. And let's copy HTTPS URL, not SSH, but HTTPS. Let's copy that, and also you can subscribe to my GitHub. Okay, so let's add it here, and here we see some error. Why? Because our Jenkins is on Google Computer Engine service, and we have no Git there. So let's open our server and install Git. And meanwhile we can save just this job and then we will return to it. So we are on our server. Let's try check if we have Git. Of course we haven't. Let's install it. So we installed Git. Let's check it. Git. Yes, we have it, and also we have Git. Also we see that Git version is 2.11.0. So let's return to our GitHub job. Let's open it and try continue configuring. Okay, now we see that there is no issues, no errors, and also it's a GitHub repository without any credentials. It doesn't require anything, but if we need some credentials we can add it, Jenkins. In case we need use some username or password, if it's a private GitHub repository or it's some your project some other environment, or you can use SSH access or secret file, secret text certificate. Okay, it can be easily checked. For username, you can just add your username and the password from your GitHub, and it can fetch your private repositories. Okay, so branch, let it be master, and now we can save it, and after that we build this job. Here we see that this job is running. Let's open it, and here we will check console output. So first of all, finished success is great. Also we see that fetching user upstream changes from GitHub repository, and everything was fetched successfully. Let's go to this GitHub task and open workspace, and here we see our project. It's a git up, git ignore. Let's check it here. Up, git ignore, license, git folder, of course, because it's git. Everything is the same. Okay, back we can find this project on our GitHub, on our server. Let's clear it and let's go to our Jenkins on this server and take a look on this workspace. So Jenkins is installed on vars lib Jenkins. You can check it on video about installation Jenkins. Let's go it. And here in the end we see workspace. Let's go to workspace. Here we have our task. It's a GitHub. Let's go to GitHub. And here we see that it's the same project. It's app, license and readme. Additionally, we can check configuration of our task. Let's go back a bit. So we go to jobs, Jenkins job, and here we see our GitHub. Let's go to GitHub, and here we have config XML. Let's open it, and here we see our GitHub job configuration. It's a GitHub URL, our branch, and some additional stuff. So what I just wanted to mention about our configuration of our job. Let's go to configure and change one small feature. It's okay, let's go to manage Jenkins and open global tools configuration to check where is our Git and version. So here in the Git installation we see that path to Git it's specified Git, because when we install Git path to this library was added to path file, and that's why when we type it here in console Git we can open it, so it's good. In case if it doesn't work, you need to put here the full path to your Git, and what is important is name. There is a best practices that you need to put version of your package here. So we have, why do we need it? Because sometimes we need to run our tasks in different environments. It might be different Maven or different Docker version or any other GDK, any other version. So the version should be specified here. It's one of best practices. So let's save it. And that's it. Thank you for watching, and do not forget to subscribe on my channel. Today in this video I will show you what is artifact concept in Jenkins and how can we use it. So to show it, let's create a new item, new job, and it will be just artifact generator. It's freestyle. This task shouldn't do anything. We will run just one execute shell command, and this command will create a file with some text data. So we will put this text to file.txt. Let's save it and run. So task is finished. Let's check it. Console output success, and let's check our project in workspace. Here in workspace we see that we have this file.txt and with text hello, everything fine. But what we can change here? This file it's saved in workspace, and it's not what we want, because sometimes after build there are a huge number of different file results. There might be some tests, screenshot, builds, different code coverage files, and a lot of others. But from all this we need just one file. If it's Java, it might be some jar file. If it's React, we need just the build folder. So we want to add this file on our main page. We need to public it in our project. So how can we do it? Let's go to configure it, and after that we can change post build actions, and we will add archive the artifact. And here we will put what we need to archive. The same file txt. Let's save it and let's run it again. Let's reload it. And after reload we see that here we see last successful artifacts, and it's the same file. Let's open it, and it's the same file. And what is important and interesting part, it's this link. It's a permanent link build on the last successful build part. So it doesn't matter how many times I will run this task and reload our artifact or generate something new, there always will be this link. This link always will be available, and it will show the file from the last successful build. So you can add this file to documentation or as part of another build or pipeline, or you can share it. It always will be accessible. Okay, so how can we use it, this file? Let's pass this artifact to another job. So let's create a new job. It will be artifact receiver freestyle. So this project will be empty. It shouldn't do anything. Just copy one artifact from one task to another one. And let's do it. Build, it will be okay. We would copy our artifact from one task to another one, but here in build step we don't see any acceptable option. That's why because we have no plugin for copy artifacts. Let's go to manage Jenkins, manage plugins, and here we will copy and install copy artifact. Let's install it without restart. So it's success, and now let's go to our artifact receiver task, configure it, and in build we want to copy artifact from another project. Let's choose it. Here we will put project name, artifact generator, which build we want last successful build, and artifact to copy, it will be our file txt. Here we can add additional configuration, what not copied, target directory, but we don't need it. Let's save it and run it. It was successful. Let's open it. Console output success, and back to project. Let's see. Open our workspace, and here we see file txt. So this task didn't create it, it just copied from another project. So why do we need it? Task can generate a huge number of files and it takes a lot of time. It might take more than 5 or 10 minutes. So in this case we can add some performance improvement. In one task we can generate some big files which are needed in another one, and in another task we do not generate it again, we just can copy from one task to another one and use it in our new task. For example, if it's a huge lot of tests or some DLL file, we can build it in one task, then copy to another one, and then run these tests and use this DLL in another task project file. And that's how we can use artifacts. In this video I will show you what is build pipeline and how can we use it. First of all, let's create new task, because as you remember, previously we created hello world task, and after that we had second job, which is called by the first one. When hello world is finished, we call the second job. Let's create a new one, it will be third one. And as a build trigger we will use build after other project is built. Let's call it second job, remove what we do not need, and save it. So now this task will run after the second one, and let's visualize it somehow. First of all, we need to install a new plugin. Let's go to Manage Jenkins, Manage Plugins, and in Available, let's find Build Pipeline, this one. There is some warning, but anyway, let's install it. So it was successfully installed. And here on our dashboard, let's click plus button. And here we can see that there is new option like build pipeline view. Let's choose it, call it pipeline, okay. And here we see that pipeline flow layout. Let's choose upstream downstream config, and here this plugin suggests us to use artifact generator, but we want to choose the first one. Task is hello world, and let's leave it and check how it works from the box. Let's click OK, and here we have our build pipeline with 3 jobs: hello world, second job, and third one. Because when we run this one, second one will be run automatically, and third one as a result. So green one it's task what was finished, and blue one it's not finished yet. So let's reload it. And so here we can run the whole pipeline by run just one button, click one button, and they will be run by one. We can reload and check it, and all 3 tasks are finished. What's the benefits of using this plugin? Here you can open console directly. Okay, right now it doesn't work, but it should. Maybe there is some config issues. Okay, and let's configure again our pipeline, and here distributed builds number, let's put for example 10. Click OK and check how it looks. And here we can see all our pipelines step by step, how and status which are run and how it looks. Okay, and so as we see, it's very similar to our continuous integration concept which we learned before. Let's open it again. Here is our continuous integration, and here we can see the same steps and the same pipeline view. So we have some build pipeline, then we have unit tests, and after that integration tests. And we can implement the same flow in Jenkins. Here we can visualize it in the same way. And that's it. It's simple how works pipeline view. In this video I will show you how to create parameterized job in Jenkins. So what is it? Sometimes we need to create a job which we can configure on the start. We can pass some params or change some environment properties. So all tasks created before, they were just simple tasks which were configured during creation. We passed default values and then these tasks were run and everything works fine. So right now we will create a new task which can be changed on the running step. So let's create a new task. It's new item. We will call it param job. It's freestyle and click OK. And here we can see that we have such checkbox as this project is parameterized. Let's click it and we can add parameters. There are a few different types of parameters such as Boolean parameter, choice, file, parameter list, password, run, string parameter. Let's create something simple with a choice parameter. And here we can type a name, it will be environment, and the choices. The choices we can put, for example, dev, QA, prod or prod. And all new choices from the new line. And then just we will save, nothing more. And here we can see that we have built with parameters. Let's click it. And already we see that there is environment and we can choose some environment option. Maybe it's a dev. And let's run it. It will be finished, but nothing will happen because we don't use it. Don't use this param. We can check that it's success. So let's configure it a bit. Configure. And in our build we will execute shell and we just echo this environment variable. $environment, let's save it, and again build with params. Let's build, open console output, and here we see that echo dev, and it was dev, it was default. Let's change it and run again just to check if everything works fine. Build with params, we will choose preprod, build, console output, and here everything works fine. We run what we need. Here might be a question. What will be in case we run this job by schedule? For example, Cron runs this job. In such case, Jenkins choose the first one in your option and it will be default value. We can check it. In our case, dev, it's default value and it will be run. Additionally, we can add some other parameter. Let's add, for example, string parameter, and we will call it test case, for example, and default value first case. I don't know, it will be fine. Let's save it. And when we try to build with parameters, we see that we can choose environment and also we can set this test case parameter. Okay, let's go up again to this job and check what default parameters we have. In our build, we can see that the list of available environment variables. Let's open them. And here we see that we have branch name, build number, build ID. So for example, if we want to put some version of our application based on build, we can use build number environment variable, and anytime when we run our build, we will have a new build version and we can use it as a version of our application. Additionally, what I have to mention is that these environment variables are available even in your script. So if you create environment variable, you can use it in your Java application for Maven or for React application in Node or Node.js or something else, and you can use these variables in your application. And that's it, how we can use configurable parameterized jobs. In this video, I will show you what is security in Jenkins and how we can handle it. And one of the most popular issues with security we can check today, it's the case when you lost access to your Jenkins server, for example, like this one. And what we can do in this situation. So in this case, you can do just go to Jenkins home and config your config XML file, all configuration, and delete security access. In this case, you need to change use security, set it to false, and then remove two sections in this config file. And after that, you need to restart Jenkins server. So let's do it. We have our Google Cloud Platform and our Jenkins. Let's connect to SSH and edit this config file. Okay, we are on the server. Let's go to our Jenkins home folder. This path you can find in the video about installing Jenkins. Let's go with and here we have a config XML file. Let's open it. So here we see that this use security, we set it to false, and authorization strategy and security real arm we will delete. Okay, everything is deleted. Let's save it. Here, let's check again. Yes, everything is fine. Also, so let's reload our server. So server is reload. Let's check it. Here's our Jenkins, and let's reload our page. We need to wait for a while. And here server is reload, and we see that we are not logged in, but we have access to the whole Jenkins jobs and Jenkins at all. So let's manage Jenkins and check our, here it shows that Jenkins is currently unsecured, so everyone can do anything, and we need to change security. Let's go to config global security, and here we should enable security and then check. We can delegate the servlet container, but we haven't it. We can use Jenkins' own user database, and there is option to allow users to sign up. It's great, we will check it, because if you share Jenkins access to our team and they have no accounts, they can sign up to Jenkins, and then when the whole team will be registered, we can remove this checkbox and use it as a signed up team. Also, this authorization that anyone can do anything. Okay, and let's save it right now and check it. Here we see that there are two new options, login and sign up, and let's try to create a new account. We will call it J and some password, doesn't matter. Create account, and here we see that is a new user J. We can log out, and this user has access to all jobs, and it can delete, it configure, everything works fine. We'll go to manage Jenkins and configure our global security again. Right now we can remove this checkbox because let's imagine that everyone already signed up, and that's all. We don't need more registration. And we will change authorization to logged in users can do anything. And for anonymous, they can just read. Let's save it, and let's open in new anonymous tab and check how it looks. Okay, it's J here, but let's log out. So for logged out user, we see login button, but it can't. It's impossible to sign up for user, and user can see all jobs, but he or she can't edit it or delete, just read only access. It's what we expected. Okay, what interesting else we can check here? Let's open again configure global security. Oops, because we are not logged in. Let's log in. And here we have matrix-based security. Interesting option. We can create a user or group and provide the access directly to this group with some specific credentials. Let's create group dev, it's the developers. Let's create managers and QA. And here we have options we can allow. For that, for dev, we can allow everything. Let's create again managers. For QA, everything, but for managers, we can just read and view something and save it. It means that okay, we need to log in with another user with admin. Okay, interesting case. Let's open our config file, and here we see that we have authorization strategy. Let's use security set false, and we'll delete this section of. Okay, we remove it, and let's save it. Again, reload our Jenkins. So Jenkins reloading. Let's wait. And here we again have access to our Jenkins. Let's just configure it a bit and return our all security configuration. Let's enable it, and logged in users can do anything. Okay, let's save it. And here we see that we need login. Let's log in with our usual password, and here it is. Everything works fine. In this video, I will show you how to work with backup in Jenkins and how we can simplify our work, at least a bit. So we have Jenkins, and if you are administrator, you don't want to lose it in some emergency case, and you should have a backup of your system. It doesn't matter if you're administrator and it's Jenkins, or it's your system and you're a software engineer. Always you have to have backups, and in this video I will show how to create these backups and how we can simplify our work with other plugins and features. So let's open our server and check what we have in Jenkins library. In Jenkins folder we have such files. So here we have a huge number of different files, jobs, logs, workspace, and one of the possible options to save a backup and create backup is just take all these files, copy them, and save on some different folder or different machine. In different folder it's not a good idea, because in case your server will be lost, you will lose all backups. So you need to save these backups on another physical machine. But why save everything is not the best idea? Because here we have workspace folder, for example, and here might be a lot of different files copied from GitHub repository, or there are some artifacts or build results which can take a huge amount of memory, and there is no reason to save it. But for example, jobs, we can go here and check that we have a lot of jobs, and let's open some. And here we see that we have config files. It's XML config file configuration over, and it's small file, text file, and it's part what we should to save, and it's a really important part. So how can we do it? Let's go to our Manage Jenkins, open Manage Jenkins, and check one useful plugin which can help us. It's Syn Backup. Let's check available plugins. This one. Let's install it. Let's install without restart. Okay, success, and let's go to Jenkins and check what do we have. Let's go to Manage Jenkins, and here we have new option, Syn Backup. Let's open it, and here we can see that we have Backup Now, Restore, and Setting. Let's try to open Backup Now. What do we have? Nothing, because we need to configure it. Let's open configuration, and here we can configure it. So the first one is a backup directory. It's a directory where we should put our backup. It should be some file on some server machine. It should be some backup server, and then we save our backups. Also, here we can configure Cron job for our full backups. We already discussed what is Cron and how to configure it, and also we have the same Cron job for differential backups. It's not full backups, just some part of them. Also we can configure number of backups and what should be backupped. We can add everything what we need. It's very useful plugin. And another plugin I will show you today. This plugin will help you to simplify your work, and let's check how it works. Let's open Manage Plugins, go to Plugins, Available, and open Config History, Job Config History. Let's install. What the plugin it is? Let's imagine that you have your server and a lot of jobs, and somebody changed something in your job, for example GitHub, and they start configure it, and somebody changed something, and right now your job doesn't work. It might be branch was changed. Also there was added some text, and it was saved, and after that your job doesn't work. And by default from the box, Jenkins do not save history of your jobs and what was changed. And this plugin, now we can see it, it's here, job config history. We can open it, and here we see the history of all changes in our file. So we can check it, and now it's our version, it's current version, because plugin was installed after we created the job and it didn't save previous version. But if we go to configure again, and we will change it back, delete this one, it's saved. And job config history, we see that we have another one. We can restore all configuration. We have such button, and let's check it. It's the same file, but we can click show diff, and here we see what was changed, and it's very similar to GitHub and Git at all. It shows what was changed, the previous version and the last one. the previous version and current one, and it can help simplify your work because you know what was changed, by who it was changed, the user, and when it was changed. So in case something doesn't work, you always can find what was changed and how to restore previous configuration, and it should simplify your work. And also one more thing, I will show you how to backup. We will return to backups, how we can backup our Jenkins, and we will use benefits of using Google Cloud Platform. So here we have our server Jenkins, and as we use in Google Cloud Platform, we can create snapshot of our server. The whole server will be saved. So we can create a snapshot of the whole our server. Let's go to snapshots and create snapshot. We will call it Jenkins. And source this, it will be Jenkins. Location is United States. It's multi-regional. And just create. And now you will have this snapshot of your server, and in case your server will be deleted or something will happen, you can always delete it and restore from snapshot. It's very useful, and I use it very often for other my jobs or other projects. Today we will talk about nodes in Jenkins and how we can use it. So what is node? Right now we have Jenkins on our cloud compute engine, and it's the first node. It's a computer where is installed Jenkins, and it runs all our jobs, build the projects, create artifacts, and it can deploy our project to some another folder or server. When we create some task, we click run it, and then it goes to build queue, and after that it goes to on first free executor. Executor is our machine. Right now it's a master, is our server where is installed Jenkins. We can create a few additional nodes. Why do we need it? First of all, this case works fine if you have just a few jobs and you run it not often, and it works for small projects, for your own project or some small startup. But for enterprise solution, it's not the best case because you have to run thousands or hundreds jobs a day, and it can work 24/7. That's why one server is not enough. You need to distribute loading and improve your performance. To do it, we can create a few nodes. Here there is a link I will share you. It's Google Cloud. It shows we need this part. It shows how it works. We have Jenkins master, it's our server, and then we can create a few agents. It will be our nodes where we can run different jobs. These nodes can be with different operational systems. It might be Linux, OS, or Mac, and there might be different browsers. For example, if you need test something for Chrome or for Firefox or something else. And I will share this link. I hope it will be useful for you. So to start it, first of all, we need to create our new node. As we're using Google Cloud Platform, a compute engine, let's create new instance. Create instance. It will be just node 1. It will be the F1 micro, the smallest one. Do not forget allow access and create. So it's create. Let's connect by SSH. And I didn't mention before, all these nodes we are going to use, we will connect by SSH agent to these nodes. So let's check how we can do it. Okay, we are on the server. First of all, let's update it. Let's create our first node. It's a new node. It will be a permanent agent. And the node name, one of the best practices to call node name, it is a host name. So we have node and host, it will be IP address. Let's just copy and use it here. Let's click OK. So here we have node label. We can use the same, or it might be GCP, for example. And launch method, it will be launch agent against via SSH. Host, we will put the same, and the credentials. We need to create new credentials. Let's create Jenkins, add, and here it will be SSH username with private key. Scope, it will be system, it's fine. ID doesn't matter right now, but we can create, for example, with my username. Description, you can skip. Username, it will be username for the server. Here we have our server, and my username, it's this one. So we will leave it, and we need a private key. We can enter it directly, add. So we need SSH private key. How can we get it? We need to generate it on our server. on our server. Let's clear. To generate our server, we need to call command ssh key again, and here is a file for where this key will be stored. We call it for Jenkins key. It's fine. Let's click. Here is passphrase. I will leave it empty, but for security you can add your super special passphrase. The same again. Here we see that everything is generated fine. Here's an image of RSA key, and we can check it by going to cd. First of all, if we will check this folder, I forgot one. First of all, we need to go to SSH folder and then generate it in SSH. It will be better. The same. Okay. Let's check what we have. So here we have Jenkins key and Jenkins key pub. This one is public key, and this one is private. Also we have authorized keys. Let's check it. Here already we have a few added by Google, but we don't not need it. What we need to add our public key to authorized keys. Let's copy this command. So it will add our Jenkins public key to authorized keys. Let's click it and let's check authorized key again. Here we have this key, and we can check our private key. Let's call cut Jenkins key. And this is our private SSH key. Let's copy it. Let's copy and go to Jenkins. And here we need to put this SSH private key. Passphrase is empty. We left it empty, and now we can click add. After that we choose this credentials, this user. The next one, what is important, we need the host key verification strategy. We need to check in host key verification strategy. We will choose third one is manually trusted by verification strategy. Let's choose it and save. Remove the root directory. We will leave it empty. It will be in our home folder. But let's save it. So after that we have this node with the red cross because it's not started. Let's open it and launch agent. Let's check. So what do we see here? What do we see? That it was connected. Everything fine. Everything is fine. We have this client, but exception. Java is not found. Let's install Java here. Let's go to home. How to install Java on server you can check in our video about installation Jenkins on Google Cloud instance. We already did it. I'll speed up a bit because it takes a lot of time. Okay, done. Let's check our Java. Java is installed. Great, and back to list, and let's connect again. Launch agent. Okay, we need to add root. Let's configure it. Let's leave it this one. Save and relaunch. Okay, to do it, let's copy our home root and add it here. Let's save it again. So we see that agent is connected and works fine. Let's go back to the list, and here we see our new node. It works fine. So how can we use it? Let's go to our jobs, and we have artifact generator. We created it when discussed the artifacts, and let's configure it just a bit. So here we can restrict where project can be run. Here we need label expression, but we haven't labels. We didn't add it. So let's add label for our new node. Let's go to this node, configure. We have label. Let's copy it. It's our node IP address. Configure it. So here we need to choose new node. It will be our new node. Here we see that we have one node. And what it do? As we remember, it creates just empty file txt, and that's it. So let's save it and check how it works. We created click build now. Here we see that the job is running, console output check. So it's finished success. Workspace, here we see that it was moved where we need, and let's check is it works or not. Let's go to our node. As we see, it's another node, it's not node we used for Jenkins. Let's clear it. And here we can see that we have a few new folders. It's remoting jar, and workspace. These two files we need to remove, but anyway, let's go to workspace, check what we have inside, and inside we have artifact generator. It's the name of our job. Let's go to it, and here we have our file txt. Let's check it, and it's hello. Hello, it's a text we added to our job. So now it works fine. So here you can see how we can distribute loading on different nodes, and different jobs you can run on different nodes. It will increase your performance, and in case you have heavy nodes or heavy jobs, you can run different jobs on different nodes and increase your performance. And that's it. Today I will show you how to uninstall Jenkins. So we finished our work, we did everything what we need, project is finished, and we do not need any more these resources. So let's remove it and clean it up. So how can we do it? We have our Jenkins server, and here we have the server we connected by SSH. First of all, let's check is it working right now. So we checked is it works. Jenkins at the boot time, so it works fine. Now we can stop it. So Jenkins is stopped. If we will reload, we have error, there's nothing, and now we can remove it. We have Ubuntu server, and here's Jenkins, so let's call just apt-get remove Jenkins, and yes, we want to remove it. And here we see that it seems everything is removed. Let's check again status. So service could not be found, and let's check our server file location. It was located in var lib Jenkins, so we have no such directory, and it seems it's great, it was removed. Also, what I can suggest you, we are smart, and we created our server on a separate Google Cloud Platform Compute Engine instance. Here is Jenkins. So if we do not need anymore this server, we can just completely delete it and do not use it anymore. Let's go here and delete. Click delete. And it's the fastest way to delete your Jenkins, because you do not need it anymore. Also, don't forget that previously we used the nodes, Jenkins nodes, and we do not need this node anymore too. So go here and delete it as well. Deleted. So right now you have your environment clean, just one project, and you have no Jenkins anymore. So that's it. Today we will cover a few popular interview questions for CI/CD. What is CI and what is CD? And what I want to mention that these questions are related to software engineers. For example, it's JavaScript developers or Java developers or web developers, and it's not for DevOps. And these questions are pretty popular, and I use very often on interviews, on my own interviews. So let's start from the first one. It's what is CI, CD, and how does it work? We already saw this screen, and we can say that first of all we should mention what is CI. It's continuous integration, and CD it's continuous delivery. Almost always it's continuous delivery, sometimes continuous deployment, but whatever, it doesn't matter, because then we will cover what's the difference. So what is continuous integration? Continuous integration, what we should to mention that it's a practice, developers practice, when we merge changed our changes back to the main branch as often as possible, and then we validate these changes by creating a build. If build is successful, then our changes are fine and it didn't break anything, and we can say that it's continuous integration and it's enough. Continuous delivery, it's the next step of continuous integration, but in this case we will deliver product final version to some servers. It can be production server or staging server by clicking a button. So we click a button and the final version of code is delivered to server. And how does it work? We can describe first of all continuous integration concept. So we have one developer, we have a version control system, it might be Git, and we have some feature. We push this feature to our server, version control system server, and then there is a trigger which runs unit tests, for example, or some other tests. And if it fails, we go to the first step, and this developer creates a new feature, updates this feature, and again push it to version control system, and then we run unit tests. If everything is okay, we go to the next step with some web service tests, and after that we can go to UI tests. Everything will be run here. And it's the same for developer too. Another developer, if something wrong, we go on the very beginning, and run everything again from scratch. So the next question is, explain please what is continuous integration, what tools are used for that on your project. Usually we ask about your project because there are different people, different developers, they use different tools on their projects, and it's not a good idea to ask about some general or most popular project or most popular tool. So we ask about specifically for your project tools. And what is continuous integration? We already covered in the first question. We can return to it. We can return to our screen and check that we have code. It was pushed to version control system, and then we run build, unit testing, and run integration testing, for example. And everything is automatically. So you do not need to do anything manually. Computer should do it for you. And what tools are used on your project? Here you will cover your favorite tool or what tool you used on your project. And previously we already checked this screen. It's JetBrains investigation and tools. What are the most popular tools? Here we can see that Jenkins is on the first place. It's 62% of users using this tool. Also there are Travis, GitLab. Right now on my current project we are using GitLab CI, so it's really popular too. Also there are TeamCity and Circle CI, and you can use any of them and just describe what benefits they bring to your project and how did you use, what you configured, and did you configure these tools at all. So anything what can be useful for you on this interview question. The next question is about types of tests we can run on CI/CD steps during CI/CD. So first of all, you can mention what types of tests there are. Here we can tell about testing pyramid and what tests there are. It might be unit tests, integration, system, UI, and manual tests. And here we can differentiate what of these tests we can run on continuous integration steps and what of these tests can be run on continuous delivery step. And here again we can check that for continuous integration we run just unit tests and integration tests. It is because we have no real server where we can run our application. We do not deploy it, and we can't start these applications there, and we have no possibility to QA engineers to run it and check by manual and run manual testing. But on continuous delivery or deployment step, we have the next steps. We deploy to staging. It might be some environment, production or test environment is staging. And after that, we can run end-to-end tests. It will be UI tests when some Selenium server or Selenium script will run and go through your website or application and check if everything is okay, because in this case we have server and we can check this server. Also here we can run manual testing. We don't have it here, but anyway, if we have a server and it can be opened, so any person can open it and check is everything okay and is it what we expected. The next question is very popular. What's the difference between continuous integration and continuous delivery, or CI and CD? We already mentioned that continuous integration is a practice for merging our changes to the main branch as often as possible and then validate it by running unit tests, running linting, and in the end build. And continuous delivery, it's an extension of continuous integration. We can say it's the next step when we deploy our code build to staging environment. And there might be interesting questions. The last one here, what's the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment? Because sometimes people don't know what's the difference and how we can say it. We can back here again to our screen and check that these two terms are almost the same. They're very similar, but the difference is in deploy to production. Is it manual or automatic? So for continuous delivery, it's manual. We have to click a button to deploy our code to some production server. For continuous deployment, it's always automatically. So you push your code, then it run build, run unit test, integration, deploy to staging, run end-to-end tests, and if everything is okay, we automatically deploy to production and then run some smoke tests. It is a list of most popular questions, as I know what I want to cover. If you know something else, if you know some another popular questions, or if you're using some another questions, please left a comment with this question. It will be interesting to check. Maybe there is something interesting and we can discuss it. And the last part what I want to mention, it's a couple of books you can read. There are two books. It's Jenkins Definitive Guide. It's for beginners more. If you're using web interface, it will be useful for you. And another one is it's more advanced book. It's Jenkins 2 Up and Running. So you can check it, and I hope it will be useful for you. That's it. Thank you for watching.